Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're exploring the hyper-competitive world of investment banking. It's a career that's famously intense, fiercely challenging, and for the few who make it, extraordinarily rewarding.
And we have some exceptional source material for this. It's guidance from a talk that isn't just about what investment banking is, but it's designed to actively increase your chances of success in a field where, let's be honest, the odds are stacked against you.
It really feels like a high-stakes playbook, a kind of shortcut to the habits and the mindsets that separate the people who succeed from the people who just get overwhelmed.
That's right.
So our mission today is to map out this entire journey. It's really a three-phase path to mastery based on this advice. First, how to get the job. Second, how to survive and actually keep the job as a junior. And finally, number three, how to excel and join the ranks of the elite senior bankers.
It's a really well-structured blueprint. You start with preparation, you move through relentless execution, and then you get to that strategic shift you need for, ultimate mastery.
Okay, so let's jump right in. That first critical step, the interview, getting the offer.
Right. And we should say, we're assuming you're smart, your resume is polished, you know the basics. This advice is about 4 additional actions that give you serious leverage.
Okay, and what are they?
Well, 2 are about preparation, things you need to do for months, and the other 2 are more psychological moves you make right there in the room.
So let's start with the prep, the long game.
The first one is completely non-negotiable. It's about demonstrating genuine long-term commitment, and it is mandatory daily reading of the Wall Street Journal.
And I'm guessing this isn't just skimming the headlines over coffee.
Not at all. It's a very targeted 15-minute routine every single day, without fail. You have to read 3 specific types of articles.
Okay.
First, a macroeconomic article, something on inflation or interest rates. Second, one on a specific industry, a company, a transaction, like a recent merger. And third, and this is crucial, one piece from the op-ed page.
So why those 3 specifically?
Well, the power here is really twofold, and it takes, maybe 6 to 12 months to actually sink in. First, you gain real substantive knowledge, which gives you credibility.
Of course.
But maybe even more importantly, that consistency is how you learn the jargon, the very specific language bankers use. It's like immersion. It lets you sound like you belong there, instead of just reciting facts you crammed last night.
Wait, that's key. It's like breaking a secret language barrier.
Exactly.
The goal isn't just knowledge, it's fluency. Being able to just talk about a macro trend using their exact vocabulary. So what's the second prep requirement?
Financial literacy. You have to be intimately familiar with the 3 main financial statements.
The income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow.
Yep. And it's not enough to know what they are. You have to understand how they interact, how a change on one impacts the others. You need to be able to analyze them, at least at a basic level. The source explicitly recommends taking a financial accounting class.
Okay, so that's the deep prep work. That's what earns you the right to even be in the room. Now, let's talk about the interview itself. You said the advice pivots to psychology.
It really does. Your primary mission, above all else, should be to get the interviewer to talk about themselves.
That's fascinating. Why?
The source frames it as just a psychological fact, not cynicism. The topic people enjoy talking about the most is their own life, their own story, their own wins.
That completely reframes the power dynamic. Usually you feel like you're under a spotlight, performing.
Exactly. And by flipping the script, you shift that spotlight. You're asking them genuine, open-ended questions like, why did you first decide to become an investment banker?
Or, what was the most interesting deal you ever worked on, and what did you learn from it?
Precisely. The interviewer starts enjoying the conversation more, and you get more authentic answers. It differentiates you immediately. Most people are there to prove how smart they are. You're there showing you're curious about them.
I can see that. And that connects directly to the 4th rule for the interview, which is about maintaining a dynamic flow.
It has to be a dialogue, not an interrogation, which means you have to avoid questions that just lead to a yes or a no.
You want open-ended questions, things that require a few sentences to answer.
Because you're auditioning for a conversation. You're trying to prove you can handle a complex client meeting, think on your feet, connect ideas. You're not just taking a test.
That makes perfect sense. So that's how you get the job. Now, let's say you've done it. You got the offer. You're now a junior analyst or associate. How does the mindset shift from auditioning to just day-to-day excellence?
The focus shifts completely. It goes from showing potential to proving execution and reliability. This is where you learn to keep the job, and we have 6 pillars of advice here.
And the first one sounds almost ruthless, finding a merit-based role model.
It is purely utilitarian. The criteria is singular. Who is the person 1 or 2 years ahead of you who is demonstrably the best at their job? That's it.
So you don't have to like them or have anything in common.
Nope. You don't have to like them. You don't need to share hobbies. You just model their professional behavior, their work process. Why reinvent the wheel when someone has already figured out how to be excellent? It's an efficiency hack for competence.
Okay, I get that. So, pillar 2. This one's about managing expectations. You have to make it clear you have no ego.
This is so critical, especially in that first month. No task is beneath you. You volunteer for the menial stuff. Getting coffee, making copies, proofreading.
I could see how some high achievers might struggle with that. They were top of their class, and now they're on a coffee run.
And that's exactly why you have to do it.
Right.
You're signaling that you're there for the team's success, not just for your own glory. Your talent got you the job. Now your humility and willingness to help will earn you trust. That reputation is built in the first few weeks.
Reputation is everything. Which brings us to number 3, which seems so simple, but is apparently huge. Take notes. The source used a great analogy for this.
The waiter analogy. It's perfect. If a waiter takes a complicated order for 6 people and doesn't write anything down, you immediately start to worry.
You lose faith in them.
Exactly. Taking notes shows you're serious. It tells the speaker their words matter. But most of all, it gives your boss comfort that you won't forget the follow-up tasks.
And then you seal that trust with a post-meeting recap.
Yes, you don't just walk away. You turn to your boss and say, okay, just to confirm, I'll have that memo rewritten by noon tomorrow, and I'll rerun the model this afternoon.
It puts their mind at ease. They don't have to worry about you dropping the ball.
And that is incredibly valuable in a high-stress world.
Okay, number 4 is the bedrock of the whole career. Work hard.
Yeah, this one doesn't need much explanation. The most successful juniors are the hardest workers, period. Your golf game, your connections, none of that matters as much as your output. Hard work is the currency.
Which ties right into the 5th point about responsiveness. The idea that first impressions die hard.
It's the extrapolation principle. Senior bankers are insanely busy. Unanswered emails or texts are incredibly frustrating. They will unconsciously extrapolate your future reliability based on your first 5 interactions.
So if you're slow to reply to the first few emails, they'll just assume you're always slow and unreliable.
You got it. You have to be available, you have to be responsive, especially at the start. You need to build a bulletproof reputation for reliability.
And the 6th and final pillar for keeping the job.
Never stop learning. That discipline you built for the interview, the daily Wall Street Journal reading, that has to continue into your 2nd and 3rd year. Stay curious. Keep asking questions. The moment you rest on your laurels, you stagnate.
Right. So that's the foundation for competence. Now let's make the big shift. We're not talking about junior tasks anymore. We're talking about the strategic mindset you need to become an elite senior investment banker.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. This phase is all about credibility, leadership, and long-term stamina. And the first piece of advice is maybe the most important for building trust.
Which is?
Prioritize the client's best interest. Even if, and especially if, it's contrary to your own immediate financial interests.
So you might advise a client not to do a deal, even if it means your firm loses a massive fee.
You might, and it's a risk, but the long-term payoff is exponentially greater. If you become known as the banker who gives honest advice, even when it costs you, you become indispensable. That credibility is a currency that money can't buy.
Clients will trust your judgment above all else. That leads to the 2nd mindset, which is about the whole point of being an advisor.
Yeah.
Take a position.
Exactly. The client is paying you for advice, not a menu of options. You can present a few paths, sure, but you must advocate for one specific course of action. Tell them what you think they should do. Do not equivocate.
That takes a lot of confidence. I imagine the danger is if you're wrong.
Well, the bigger danger is being vague. If you give them 3 equal options and they pick the wrong one, they can always say you didn't give them enough direction. They hire you for your judgment. Showing conviction is the mark of a leader.
So the 3rd point is about building internal resilience. The advice is to embrace and even relish adversity.
Adversity is what makes you better, and there's always a temptation to take shortcuts, especially now. You could look up a pre-built Excel model online instead of building it from scratch.
And the advice is to resist that.
Absolutely. Because the struggle of building the model, of wrestling with the assumptions, of debugging the errors, That's where the skill is forged. You have to live in the trenches. You have to see every difficulty not as a burden, but as a strengthening mechanism.
Which I guess feeds right into the next skill you need for longevity, which is mastering discipline.
And this is all-encompassing. It's inside and outside of work. Time management, keeping your inbox clear, making lists, avoiding procrastination, and even staying physically fit. Your mental and physical stamina have to match the intensity of the work.
Okay, now, number 5 gives a really interesting answer to that big question.
Mhm.
How do you get work-life balance in a career famous for having none?
The answer is almost elegant in its simplicity. Just be exceptionally good at your job.
Yeah, what?
Excel on the merits. If you are one of the best bankers in the firm, if you are truly indispensable, you gain control. You gain control over what you do, who you work with, and when you do it.
So the secret to taking a weekend off isn't asking for permission. It's being so valuable that nobody would even question you for taking it.
That's it exactly. Balance is earned through excellence, not demanded through tenure. Your competence becomes the shield that protects your personal time.
Wow. And that brings us to the last piece of advice, the mantra that seems to define the elite.
Never, ever give up. The instruction is to adopt this as a life mantra and apply it to everything, big and small.
And they mean everything, from securing a new client to getting a reservation at a busy restaurant.
Yes, that's the part that really stands out.
It is. I mean, why connect a billion-dollar deal with getting a dinner reservation?
Because it's about your operational standard of effort. If you let the small things slide, that passive attitude can bleed into the big things. The refusal to take no for an answer, that creative problem solving. That's the mindset that stops a deal from falling apart over a tiny detail at the last minute. That relentless persistence is the secret ingredient.
So as we wrap this up, the roadmap is incredibly clear. Deep preparation is your ticket in. Radical humility and absolute reliability are how you survive. And elite status, well, that's achieved through client-first advice, earned control, and just an unrelenting discipline.
What's really fascinating to me is how much of this is just a masterclass in discipline. Success in this world hinges on mastering the mundane, reading the news every day, taking notes, being responsive, and treating those foundational tasks with the same intensity as the biggest deal of your career.
It really makes you rethink what discipline even means. That mandate to never, ever give up on everything. It makes you wonder, if you were to apply that banking standard of persistence, that refusal to accept no to some non-work part of your life right now, what barrier would you just smash right through? That's the challenge, isn't it? Bringing that elite standard to your everyday persistence.